Hi, this is Pat Barrett at Women's Radio. And once again, Christine Baumgartner and I are going to have a great conversation about relationships. And this time, it's going to be about the relationships that you end too soon or ones that you hang in there way too long. And this is true in all kinds of relationships, whether it's a romantic or whether it's at work or sometimes even girl friendships or boy friendships. You know, sometimes we just can't decide if we should hang in there or we should say, I did my best. So that's going to be our conversation today. And I know it's going to be interesting. And Christine is the resident expert on these matters, and we're going to have a great conversation. So welcome, Christine.
Always lovely to talk to you, Pat. Yeah, we got talking the other day about this because we were going to have another subject, which we'll do next time. But this one came up about how people often stop before they've really given it their best shot. And then conversely, they stay way past its expiration date. For sure.
And we're not clear how to make those choices sometimes.
Often,
Right.
depending on where we're coming from. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's sad that a lot of people quit just before they're about to get the prize they wanted. So somehow, we've got to tune in more, I think. And if we tune in, we're bound to find the right answers too. That's what I think.
And I think some of the psychological reasons that people stop right before is there really is a fear of success in some people. We all think it's a fear of failure, can be. Also, if I'm really successful, how do I maintain it? Can I maintain it? Am I worthy of maintaining it? Will the other people notice if I'm not good enough to maintain it?
Or what I have to give up to
for
maintain.
sure.
Yeah.
What kind of compromise or negotiation will you need to do to keep doing the same thing or do more of it? And the other thing is we'll leave before they figure out maybe they're going to get rid of us, either an individual or a company.
Right.
So to look at what's your motivation, what's your personal motivation, what's the other person's motivation for having you at the company or having you as a friend or having you as a romantic interest. What are each of your motivations? That's a really great place to start.
Yes.
Why were you initially there? Does that still fit? Why is there a challenge that's coming up that you're considering not staying and that you might need to be different at a company or a friendship or romantic? And is the other person committed to moving in the same direction, having the same commitment to doing whatever it's going to take to have them be happier, have you be happier? So I brought up that there's this great book that I looked up now. I know it's from 97 and it's called Too Good to Leave and Too Bad to Stay. And doesn't that just really say it all in a title?
Yes,
really,
and
it's a step-by-step guide to help you decide whether to stay or get out of a relationship. And generally, her premise is about romantic relationships, either a long-term relationship or a marriage. And I found that I could use this for friendships as well as business associates. Mm-hmm. So now that you figured out why you got into this relationship, work, friendship, romantic, is it still the same reason that you're staying there? Are they keeping their side of the bargain? Are you keeping your side of the bargain? Because when you start entering in any kind of relationship, work or casual or romantic, you often have a goal in mind about why you're entering into this relationship and where do you both need to go? Where do you need to get each other? Where do you need to move the company? And so you keep revisiting. I mean, they do this all the time at businesses where you have your direct report, you fill out your own evaluation, they fill out an evaluation, and then you get together and say, here's where we were, and this is what we decided we do, and are we there, and how's it going? And I tell people to do that all the time in their romantic relationship, to have the state of the relationship meeting once a week or every other week, or at least once a month, so that things don't build up and get misunderstood for a long time.
Mhm.
And and people change. You're allowed to change. If you say, this is what I was doing, but now I need to do something different, and I'm going to tell you about it out loud, and how's that sitting with you? So I have a couple friends, they're a couple, and they've been together for like 40 years. And when they met each other, one was agnostic and one was atheist, which worked really well for them. And then they were together for, I think it was 20 years ish, when he said, he had been raised Christian Science and he decided he wanted to go back. There was just a place in his life where this felt like a hole and he really wanted to participate again. And she's like, holy crap. I mean, we go from there's nothing or I don't believe in anything to now this is a pretty heavy duty religion to be part of. And so he said, I really need it for me. I think it's going to help me be even a better husband and father. And you don't have to participate. You don't have to go with me. I don't even have to talk about it if you don't want to hear it. I need to do it for me. So she sat around and thought about it for a while. And then she went, okay. So now it's been another 10, 15 years more, and he's participated and it's been perfectly fine. But they talked about it. So here was one of the
Right.
biggest shifts you could ever have that was such a foundational thing in their beginning part of their relationship. And it's such a big shift. And yet they're perfectly fine about it. He still goes to church every weekend and she's still fine about it. So if it's not that it has to blow everything up.
Right.
So the other thing is, the reason we got talking about this is that I was saying how fast people will give up looking online dating, specifically for
Right.
dating.
Because you deal with a lot of people who are looking for relationships,
Mhm.
and you're coaching them.
Mhm.
And we were talking, and you said so many people give up. They just don't keep up the work. I said, well, you haven't met my friend Carol. What you mean? She's the most persistent lady I've met.
For sure. So what happens is when people start coaching with me, often they've tried something on their own and people think they know how to date and it turns out they really don't, which is why I'm happy to teach them. And I say, well, gosh, how many profiles did you write to? Oh, I wrote to like 6 or 7 and nobody wrote back or they were only scammers. So I'm going to give up. I go, really? Or how many dates have you been on? I went on 3 and they were terrible. So I'm giving up. So I say, the things in your life that you've had to really learn, like a new skill for a job, or you wanted to participate in a sport and you weren't good at it right away, but you kept doing it over and over because you really wanted to learn. And I use the example of when I got an iPhone, that swipey thing that you do to wake it up.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I could not make it work. I was so frustrated
You
for
didn't
about
swipe in the right direction.
it was horrible. And I'm kind of mechanical and I pride myself on doing things well mechanically. And my phone and I were not getting along. And everywhere I went, I would find somebody under 25 and say, do that to my phone. And I want to watch and show me how to do it. And if I had given up, I wouldn't have been able to use my phone. And I had great value to learning how to open my phone, which I certainly finally did after about 2 days. So if dating specifically, or this friendship or this business relationship is so important to you, then learning the skills and sticking with them and getting better at them will be a big benefit. Because what will also happen is when you get really clear about, I am worth this, this is a valuable thing to me, and I'm going to do my best to stick with it. Then if it really can't work because you've given it your best shot, not just 3 times, then you say, I am leaving because I gave it everything. I am leaving knowing I have a good conscience about this.
Yes.
But too often we don't have the tools, or we're not brave enough, or we're not self-confident enough to keep going to see it through to it's either leaving or staying even better. And that's the part that gets frustrating to watch.
Another thing, and I look at my own life, sometimes we don't have the verbal skills. We've never been taught the skills of communicating in a way. So you're not begging for someone to understand you, or you're not, but if you keep your mouth shut and you don't say how you really think and feel, I don't think any relationship has as good a chance of working out as if you learn to say what you really think and feel, and in a way that someone else can drink it in. Because if you don't do that, but you're really operating from there on the inside, you're going to mess everything up.
No. That is the most pivotal point, Pat. Thank you for saying that, because we often assume in our male-female relationships, we women often assume that the man just knows what we're thinking, because we can tell what other women are thinking pretty accurately, not 100%, but pretty much. We kind of do our little MRI scan. We've had some of the same feelings. We can read their faces. We can read their, oh, fine, and know that it isn't fine. So we expect men to be able to do that. And generally they can't, even when they know us really well, even when they've lived with us for a long time. They get better at something that's been really obvious, really repetitive. And they like, is that what it is? Is that what it is? Enough times they're like, oh, I get that. All the nuances and subtleties that we women have in our lives, they can't keep up. So, and then I had talked in another podcast that we've done earlier about if you are in a company and your direct report is another woman, and she's very much in her masculine at work. She's directed, she is goal oriented, she is task oriented, she's on it. She's not going to pay attention to the subtleties either, even though she has those two X chromosomes in her body. At work, she is very single focused. She's not scanning for your emotions. She's saying, is the job getting done? Why isn't the job getting done? Why aren't you doing your job? And you need to say, this is why. I don't have the tools. I don't have the time. I'm trying to do too many things at once. I'm not getting the feedback I need from you. Need to say out loud why you're not finishing your task, so that she isn't on your butt about why it's not getting done. If it's really somebody else's responsibility, you need to say, or something else they need to give you or tell you or supply for you. And I did it for a long time. I sat around just feeling inadequate and bad. And why didn't they come and just ask me? Why didn't they offer? Because that's really not, I mean, it'd be nice if they really did make that part of their job. And I think it is part of a good manager's job, but lots of people don't have that as their skill set. So
No.
it's really your job to take care of you. So if you're needing something from somebody, really clearly understand what it is and say it in words that they will understand. This is the problem I'm having. This is the solution that would be really helpful if you could do for me. I'll tell you, most of the male population, most of those Y chromosomes will go, okay, I could do that. You have a problem and I'm the solution? Wow. And then after they do it, you say, thank you. And then you do the same thing again. I have a problem. Here's the solution I need. Or would you figure out a solution for me and then say thank you? It is one of men's favorite things to have us have a problem they can solve.
Right.
Personal,
And we should
friendship,
figure this out. We
business.
should, we should work this out on the inside and then learn how to say those words, right?
Yes,
And if
yes,
people
yes.
need lessons on how to say things, they can always call you.
It's what I teach all day long, every day. It's one of the biggest things I teach is women how to figure out what you want to need and say it in a way that a man hears it and is given the tools to achieve it. And then women fight all the time. And I have to say, thank you.
I want to bring up something that you did earlier when we did DISC and the other process, that everybody doesn't think alike. Everybody doesn't respond in the same way. Everybody's priorities in that sense. I mean, the way they express themselves are different. And if you're really talking with someone who is like your opposite, you pointed this out when we did, and I encourage people to go back and listen because it's really, really good.
Thank you.
That it is important to, as you get older, you need to learn how to say things so that you are communicating well with the person who's diagonally opposite you. And that could be a female or a male, whatever. And because sometimes people can't take in information if you don't say it the way they want to hear it.
Yep. Boy, that is such a good point. Some people want you to tell them the end result first. and then they'll ask you for the pieces in between.
Mhm.
Some people want you to tell them every little detail and where it's going to go.
And other
And
people
some
that drives them
people
up the wall.
and some people want a variety of those things.
Right.
So learning first who you are, what your process is, to explain it to somebody that's going to ask you for to do something or give you a task. This is how I learn best. So I tell people the way I learn best is tell me, show me, watch me do it. If
Right.
I could have somebody do that every time, I learn really well and I'm really good at it. I mean, it takes practice still, but that's the best way for my brain. And I have asked people, so how do you learn? And some people know and some people
Mhm.
don't. So we'll
You're right.
try something for the people who don't. So do you like having explaining? Some people like hearing it and reading along. When I was taking a
Right.
college class a couple of years ago, I'd listen to the reader and then I'd watch the words too. It really helped it like double sink in because it
Right.
was a lot to
Right.
learn all at once. So figuring out what your pattern is, what's worked in the past, what hasn't worked. Sometimes you start out with what doesn't work and then what would work instead. And then explain it to the person that you're needing support from, you're needing help from, you're needing information from.
Well, this
Then
goes back to what you were saying about don't quit. A lot of people don't quit because they don't feel adequate to saying things in a way that really communicates. And so they internally, even though they may not use these words, say, why bother? I never explain anything so somebody can hear it. But that's because they're just not looking for help, or a way to learn how to say what they want to say from their heart, that can be said without hurting somebody's feelings and without causing an argument or whatever. It's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's certainly preferable to having bad relationships.
you said a mouthful. I read an article a very long time ago in Psychology Today, and they said generally, if employees are complaining about how much money they're not making, it's often that they don't have the right tools, the right information, the right appreciation, the right support. Because if they have all those other things, it's not that the money isn't important. It falls behind all those other things. That if they feel capable of doing a good job, if they have all the things, they feel very rewarded in all those ways as well as monetarily.
Oh,
And
that's great.
where our society is right now, I hear lots of complaining about money. I think things are very expensive, and that's part of the reason people are feeling underpaid.
Mhm.
And they're not feeling like they have good support. They're not feeling appreciated. They don't feel like they have the right tools. I mean, you
You
see
are so
people that
right.
are put into managerial positions and they're not trained at all how to manage people. So they're
That's
unhappy.
right.
The employees are unhappy. It's very sad.
I agree. Well, we're going to return to some of that the next time. Now,
Yes.
what was that other topic we were going to tackle that we're going to do next time?
So that women generally, more than men, tend to overdo. They do more than they needed to do of a thing, of a job, or they take on more jobs than they need to
Mhm.
stick with finishing a job. We have a lot of trouble doing that. You know, when you go to do something around your house, you like, oh, a drawer and oh, a cupboard and oh, we're generally, men are very single focused about a job, and it makes your male counterparts frustrated when they keep coming back and you keep not finishing the thing that you said you would do for all these reasons. So we're going to talk about how to maneuver that better.
That's good. That's good. We're tackling so many things that I know in my own life I've needed this kind of conversation. I hope that other people are really getting a lot out of this. I want to encourage everybody to write us, write directly to womensradio@gmail.com. I think I also gave you another email, team@women-corp.com. That's the official one. And I want to also spread some cheer, in a sense, that we are going to be tackling some wonderful new things, not just the conversation with Christine, which is so yummy, but also we're going to have new opportunities at Women's Radio, new kinds of entertainment, some wonderful new ideas that I have not seen anywhere else. So please stay tuned, write and tell us your ideas. If you have an idea that you think no one else has bothered to do, that you think we could do, let us know. Tell us what you'd like to see, or conversations that you'd like to listen to. In fact, some of the ones that I'd like to listen to include people who are real experts on all the brain technology and the brain science that's going on. There's a lot of things coming out in science that I'm very, very interested in. And cell intelligence. I'm fascinated by cell intelligence. And so let us know what you'd like to hear about, because I'm eager to get some of those people to come to Women's Radio too. Christine, I want to thank you always. It's just always a pleasure, always interesting, so much fun. And I can't wait for the next time.
Me too. You're always very cutting edge, Pat. It's a pleasure to be part of your group.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.